The day the HOA tried intimidating my family on our ranch began like any other peaceful morning, with the golden sun rising over the rolling fields, the quiet clucking of chickens, and my kids racing each other across the yard while my wife prepared breakfast, her laughter drifting through the open windows, until a glossy black SUV crawled up our dirt road like a predator stalking something it had no right to approach. Out stepped Harold, the most feared and smug HOA member in the district, wearing a perfectly ironed shirt, expensive shoes completely unsuited for ranch soil, and a clipboard tucked under his arm like it was some kind of badge of authority. He didn't greet us, didn't smile, didn't acknowledge the land he was standing on. Land my family had tended for generations. He simply lifted his clipboard with an air of superiority and began pointing at everything. The barn my grandfather built, the tractor I restored, the fence my sons helped me repaint, even the wooden playground I built for my children with my own hands. With cold precision, he announced we were violating 7 HOA regulations, flipping through his paperwork dramatically like he was unveiling a crime scene. And when my young daughter skipped forward holding her toy horse, Harold's eyes narrowed at her as if joy itself was against the rules. Then he uttered the threat that froze every muscle in my body. If I didn't correct the violations within 48 hours, my family would face consequences. I watched my wife step out onto the porch, her face going pale as she realized this wasn't about rules. It was intimidation. That moment ignited something deep in me, something older than the land itself. No one threatens my family. That night, long after the ranch went quiet, while my kids slept peacefully and my wife rested with her hands still curled around mine, I sat alone in my office with stacks of county records, dusty land deeds, old maps, legal files, and everything I could pull from the archives.
Hours passed, coffee mugs emptied, and just when fatigue began to creep in, I found it. A county document proving that my ranch, established decades before the HOA even existed, was legally and permanently exempt from their jurisdiction. Not only that, but while digging, I uncovered a trail of evidence showing Harold had been fabricating violations and exploiting homeowners for years, pocketing fees from people too scared to question him. I felt anger and clarity surge through me. The next morning, instead of waiting for Harold to return with his arrogance and clipboard, I drove straight to the HOA meeting hall. The room fell silent as my boots thudded against their polished floor, and every board member looked up in confusion as I dropped a heavy binder onto the table directly in front of Harold. His face turned pale as I revealed pages of his misconduct, proof of falsified fines, and finally the document showing the HOA had zero legal authority over my ranch, meaning his threats against my family were not just wrong, they were illegal. Gasps rippled across the room. The HOA president grabbed the papers, skimmed them with widening eyes, and then looked at Harold with disgust before telling him to gather his things because his time on the board was over. In the days that followed, every fraudulent fine Harold issued was overturned. Neighbors thanked me for having the courage to expose him, and a full investigation opened into his actions. That evening, standing on my porch watching my children laugh and chase each other under the orange glow of the sunset, the same children Harold claimed would face consequences, I felt a deep, solid pride settle in my chest, because on this land, my land, the land my forefathers bled for, there is one truth carved deeper than any rulebook. No one intimidates my family, no one trespasses on our peace, and anyone who tries will always regret it more than they can ever imagine.